All right. Skillet bangers already caught for today. Already caught for today. So we caught this trade pre-market. I'm gonna go over why we caught this and then see what other opportunities we're gonna have today. Whoa. All right, read that. Okay. We do have a nice gap in the market, like right here. Thinking that price might hopefully give us an interaction there. It actually overlaps with this swing high. So that's really good synergy. Um, it's actually really good synergy. Okay, so nice 15-minute swing. Yep, bearish order block was made, crossed right over it. That's a significant price point. We're going back up into the range of the order block. 50% of the gap that I marked out overlaps with that price. This is a very important point of interest for shorts. It's very significant right there. We'll see how that plays out. That's, yeah, actually, let me go ahead and call this. If Friday is supposed to sell, considering we did so much buying this week, and when we get a Friday short squeeze, this could be really good. Something like that. Just post this free idea on NAS in the Discord. Already called. Yeah, there's so much synergy right here. This is looking mighty good. What time is it? It's 6:50 a.m. my time. So we're only 20 minutes in. I would say maybe hmm, by true market open, which is 7:30, just 1 hour after opening bell. This trade probably gonna trigger. Is there a reason for this to keep buying? That's the question. Let's go on this 1 hour. 1 hour bearish candle. Nope. Closed below the low of the previous bullish. That means they done took out all those buyers. 4 hour chart. This candle closes in 9 minutes. This has the potential to print a swing point if this continues bearish. So this could pan out in our favor. 30-minute chart. Let's look at the 90-minute cycles. Nothing significant. 45-minute. Wow. Major rejection. So with this understanding, yep, swing point, we're gonna go, yeah, okay, cool. 22. And I'm just doing like little analysis, like tips and tricks and things that I know. If you guys ever have any questions over something that I say or something that I do, just like type in the chat. I'll go ahead and answer that. 15-minute chart is definitely the cleanest time frame at the moment. By a long shot. Ooh, 5-minute is really clean. Showcasing that gap right there. 3-minute shows the same gap. And the 1-minute chart should show it's from the swing point to, okay, this swing point right here. So that's the true gap. Yeah. I would buy it if I was trying to scalp it, but I feel like the overall direction is gonna ultimately be bearish, so there's no point in me getting into a buy unless we confirm a buy. This line is gonna come into play if buys get confirmed. This is the line we have to close above. So I'll go ahead and thicken up that line a little bit. So my idea is we want to go into this range. We just don't want to close above these price levels. We want to leave some wicks in here, kind of try to do our best to keep closing under this white line, and then ultimately come back, close below this range, continue to sell off. The bias for the sell off for me is the fact that, I mean, that's all we've done this week is just buy. This is Monday. Like, yeah, all we did was buy Monday, buy Tuesday. We just bought the whole entire week. So there's something called a Friday short squeeze. A Friday short squeeze is a trading phenomenon that happens when the market does a very hard correction at the end of the trading week after a week full of buying. So that's what I'm anticipating is going to happen today. Even though we are above, no, wait, hold on. I would have to check this chart. We are very close to all-time highs. So don't know if we're going to push up and break them or if we're going to sell off. I feel like the sentiment can go either way, so we just have to wait and see. What chart was I on? This one. All right. I have some more swing points drawn. So we stopped down there. Okay. What do you think about gold? I haven't been looking at it much. We got a short on it yesterday. That short would have still been playing out today. As far as right now, like if I was trying to look for a trade today on gold, I'll be honest, I don't see one. Um, I would anticipate it would probably be something bullish in nature, but yeah, that's all I really have. We're down here at some relative lows where buyers continue to accumulate. We bought here, so I wouldn't be anticipating to short the market. I know we're in a downtrend, but the concept of the game is buy low, sell high. We're pretty low relative to overall market structure. So I would be expecting buyers to try to kick back in. What's my time frame? I'm looking at the 15-minute chart right here on gold, but I'm not really anticipating a trade. I'm looking at NAS really. Let me go back to what I'm looking at. Okay, so this is not the best sign in the world for sales. Let me go ahead and say scratch that. Scratch this. I'm just typing in the Discord, just saying don't try to snipe this trade. I would like to take sales here, but I do not like the way price closed above this range on this 1 minute chart. Now it could be manipulation. It could come down and close with rejection to the upside, but I know that the sentiment of the market is bullish. We're so close to all-time highs. I know that there's just a lot of greed in the market across the board. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes greed gets rewarded. So there's just an extra level of caution that I'm having right now. But anyway, our first trade was a banger. Banger trade. Uh, this was a pre-market trade. Most of my trades are pre-market. Very rarely do I actually take a trade during New York session, like the opening bell. I take a lot of my trades between like 3:30 a.m. and before market opens. So 3:30 we had buys, very clear buys right here. The zone of the wick on this 3 minute chart was made, and then price came in at 50%. I had went down to the 1 minute and adjusted it to just account for the order block. That would have been my entry for buys. And I was looking at it, but I was on the phone with somebody, so I didn't take the trade. So that was that. And then while I was still on the phone, I made sure I didn't miss this one. It was such a clear setup. The market started to fail. Very weak bullish candles. Created a fair value gap. Waited for the double sweep. Meaning that whenever you see a fair value gap or a gap in the market, double sweep, you need to wait for the first test into the gap and then you take the sell on the second test, not the first one, the second one. So we did enter quite literally right there. Yeah, nope. There's too much greed in the market. But even notice how our sentiment was bearish, right? Even though we were looking for sells, the way that we mark out our charts, exactly if we know exactly what's gonna happen once our levels get tested. So it was either gonna sell or buy here. It decided to buy, created that nice bullish order block on top of our same level. We could have been fluid, moved like water, been on our Bruce Lee energy, and gotten into a impulsive entry for buys here. So the levels that I teach you to mark out are levels where trades will be executed. Whether or not they're going to be bullish or bearish, it's a different story. This is why we wait for confirmation. Price went up, closed above. It could have closed below on the 5 minute, didn't. And this right here was our confirmation that price was going to keep going up. It closed above this range, closed above it, closed above it also on the 1 minute, tapped it, bought. Now, you only get this level of precision when you know why and how to properly identify and mark your ranges, right? This is not just an arbitrary fair value gap that I marked. Look, you see how it doesn't touch that low, or it doesn't touch the wick of that candle. I mark my ranges very specifically in a very specific way. But ultimately, though, yeah, everything's looking bullish. Say you just posted your move in the Discord. Let me go look. Uh, so let's see. Entered a few pips too late, but it's playing out well. Oh, bro, you're up. That's nice. And wait, so let me see. You entered 1 minute chart. It was good. You had a nice break, some confirmation, some moving average confluence there too. Yep. Yeah, nice exit. Great job. Great job. Done for the day. 3K on demo. Great job. Let's go back to gold. Well, no, I don't know. I'm really done. Like I caught my trade already. Uh, I'm just live streaming just for you guys, just for consistency to really just answer some questions. Um, or to be a voice. Is there anything that you guys are looking at? Currency pairs? You guys looking at US 30? Whoa, US 30 booming. It looks like it's booming percentage wise more than Nas is. Yeah, see Nas at least. It did the same thing. It did this yesterday. It did the same thing yesterday. Nas made lower lows while US 30 made higher lows, and then it shot up, and then Nas finally got correlated and shot up too. It did the same exact thing yesterday. Look, it's like rinse and same thing. So once again, yesterday we took a very similar sell that we took today. Same thing. We went up into a gap for the second time over here, sold it, and then, but we made lower lows on NASDAQ, but we had made higher lows. Yeah. So here we had made lower lows here, but we had made higher lows here. And then this bought, and then later we finally got on track and then bought as well for the rest of the day. So it feels like it's like the same thing that just happened today. We came in, got our trade on the gap, took the short, made lower lows, while US 30 made higher lows. It bought. Now NAS is back on track. It's very interesting. So I wonder how much we're gonna buy today. So you entered based on the first 5 minutes of the opening break and retest. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Oh yeah, right here. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, because what we opened here, this is the break. That's the retest. And then yeah, we continue to go up. I think you had a moving average that looked a little something like this, right? You had a little something like that, um, like this, and you entered like about right here. Yeah, no, this is solid basic price action, right? Makes total sense. Price was making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Then price came up and it made, so we was coming down, we went up, then down, then up, higher low, higher high, higher low, and you ultimately just, you just took the accumulation here of price breaking and retesting this region. You already had a higher low in the market, um, order block, so that's why it was a rather perfect support and resistance play right here. Price made another higher low, then, taking the breakout of the range that was right here. That's just a perfect simple market structure shift, execution, whatever you want to call it. That was a great trade. It's gonna keep going. It's probably gonna go up to the all-time high today. I feel like there's a lot of greed in the market. Let's see. Here's my sentiment wheel. I don't know how to go. I don't know how to pull it up. So anyway, so if we weren't in a trade, like and we were trying to make money today, and we come here to the market and we see it's already bought, what do we do? Well, you mark out the most recent high that just got broken, and you wait. That's about it. Other things that we could do. We know that this high, right, has already given us our ICC trade. This was our indication to the upside. Correction. Yeah, it did close below these lows, but in the grand scheme of things, whatever. We got our play. TP1 is hit. At some point, though, we have an issue. It's like we have a actually a pretty big issue. And the issue is that we have indications to the upside as well as indications to the downside, right? Now, yes, we did accumulate here, but it's still contraindicating. Most likely we are bullish, considering that we took out the highest high of this downtrend, which means that all of the sellers that were in the market, including in this range of this trend, they're out. So from this price line, where sellers were trying their best to suppress the market, buyers just took all of them out. So they're going to keep pushing up. At some point, whenever it's time for a correction, if we get one, pull back, retracement, something, we'll see where inside this range we have the likelihood to retrace to capture more buys in the future later on in the session. So if we were here in the market, we didn't have any trades yet, and we were trying to figure out what to do, this is what we do. We would sit on our hands, we would wait for the market to come back and give us something good, you know. Until then, we don't chase the market. We don't try to catch a little impulsive scalp. We just wait for the market, for the trades to mature and to present themselves, and then we're good. So we have an indication to the upside. We have a lot of gaps that we could possibly fill. This is actually an inverted fair value gap, actually. I just learned what that was. I've been trading for 10 years. What makes this inverted is the fact that it's basically two gaps overlapping each other in a way. You have a gap here and kind of like, a gap here. So that's what an inverted fair value gap is. It's like a bearish gap and a bullish gap overlapping each other. Usually price comes down to those areas. I think, like I said, I just learned what it was. That piece of price action, it's new to me. Overlapping gaps in the market. Clear point of origin right here. What do I mean by points of origin? I mean that this is where all of this volume kicked in. Um, Down here at this blue circle. It means that all of the volume kicked into the market down here to break this high, this price level, to drive price up like crazy. There was gaps left behind, no retests, and if I go on a bigger chart, what we should see, a slightly bigger chart. Yep. What am I looking for? This. We see it on a 10-minute chart. Just the idea that there's an order block here, right? And that there was a candle that broke and drove really far above this high of this candle. And whenever you have dynamics like this happen, sometimes the market comes right down to it, taps it, then buys right off of it quite nicely. So understanding what that is conceptually, I understand that that's a nice point of origin. It's a really strong area of interest to take future buys, or if we do get some sort of confirmed sell setup, bearish price action, lower lows, lower highs, head and shoulders pattern, something that lets us know price is going to sell, it might be a good sort of region to take sells down into this area. What time is it? 15-minute candle just closed. All right. We're getting like, little wicks, little rejections up here. Okay, we're starting to drive down. Candle closes in 20 seconds. Print. Let's wait and see. Okay, this is driving down as well. NAS is the weaker one. So if there was going to be a sell-off, you would want to take it on NAS. Why do I say that? Because NAS has already proven that it can break lows. US 30 hasn't proven that it can break any lows. It's just been making higher lows, right? As opposed to NAS, it has proven that it can already break lows. So if there was an asset to trade um, in the direction of sells, you would theoretically want to be trading something that has already proven that it can break lows. That's why I say NAS is weaker than US 30, if that makes sense. I don't know if I have another hour and a half to 2 hours in me to stream because I've stayed up all night. I didn't sleep at all. And I think I've been up for yeah, I've been up for over 24 hours. I've just been working. Just trying not to give myself an excuse to not be consistent. How long is the stream so far? I don't even like 34, 35 minutes. I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and recap the trade, explain in depth why we took the trade, and then just call it a day and save the save the stream for people to watch later. So let's do that. All right. So if you're still one of the few people watching, I'm going to take out a moment. If you have a little bit of moment to learn this right now, I suggest you stay here and you watch this. This is my like it's been like a bread and butter entry model of mine recently. Um, if you don't have the time, you can watch it later. But if you watch this and let this sink into the depths of your soul, you'll be quite happy person in the future, okay? So something that I'm gonna go over is it's called I don't really even know if there's a name for it, but we're gonna call it a liquidity resweep or something like that. Okay, let me go ahead and switch screens. All right, wait a second. What's going on here? All right, I have to troubleshoot something. 1 second. I have to map this to a different screen. All right, mapping. No, it's okay. It says it is mapped to the screen. Okay, it's just not working then. Hmm. Select display, apply an inactive area detected. This is rather unfortunate. Why is this? I don't know why this is happening. Technical difficulties then, so I guess I'm gonna just have to hold off on that. Um, yeah, it's not working. All right, technical difficulties. Nothing you can do about them. Okay, we got a lower high. This might come down and break, sell off into this area. I'm gonna have to troubleshoot that later today. But anyway, so a look a liquidity resweep is just basically understanding that the market is going to create gaps in the market, right? So in this case, we had a bearish one. So that means price was uptrending. And then what happens is price creates a gap. Okay, this gap. and it it decides at some point to accumulate, and then it's going to give you a test inside the range of the gap. It might trade away a little bit, it might trade away a decent amount. However, it's still only just one test. Then it comes up and gives you a second test, and then that's your entry for a nice massive sell-off. So when we mark something like this out in this area to mark out the gap properly, you're going to want to just find the lowest candle of that range that was broken, aka the swing low. Then you want to come over here and find the swing high of that range before price continued to sell off. This is your gap. The dotted line is a 50%. When price goes up, you're going to get something that I call R1. Okay? This stands for raid number 1 inside the range of this fair value gap. All right? The first raid is what a lot of retail traders are now doing. Is like, as soon as they learn what a fair value gap is, they're entering. They are becoming liquidity. So then what we do is we wait for the first raid to get swept and hopefully fulfill at least 50% at the same time. That's like quite important. Like we need price to do kind of both of these things. Once price fulfills 50% and it raids the first high that was made inside that gap, guess where you're entering into your trade? Right here. As I don't know if you guys can hear the garbage truck in the background, but anyway. Um, our trade or sell zone is right here in this area. As long as your entry is anywhere above that liquidity line, you're smooth, right? You're filled pretty well. So best case entry is obviously the high or like 50%. Second best entry is at that level of the first raid. Third best entry is some sort of break or maybe ordered block or confirmed break as we're coming back outside the range of the gap. But ideally, if you can enter somewhere inside this sell zone, then that would be the best case scenario. Something like that. Right? And then you target at least the low that was made. Keyword at least. If not more. This right here, let me go ahead and like screenshot it. This is the model that we traded yesterday and today. Let me go ahead and drop this inside the VIP notes. This is the model that we traded yesterday and today. So let's go look at it. Actually, am I able to post images inside the plus sign, start Q&A, start poll? No, okay. That would be cool if I could place images inside the YouTube chat. All right, anyway. So, yesterday, the trade we took yesterday. I had this drawn on the chart before it actually was executed, and that's live streamed. You can go back and watch it. This was the gap that was created. We drew it from the lowest level of that area before it broke, and we took it to the order block. Yes, this counts. Order block, right? This is the gap. Price came up and it corrected inside the range of the gap, but it never fulfilled 50%. Therefore, the market cycle of this gap was not complete yet. Yes, it did have a reaction. It did sell, but only when it came up to raid R1, like I've been saying, like we're going to call this R1. Only after it came up to raid R1 over here, which delivered us R2. R2. Ain't that the name of like a little like Star Wars robot or something? I don't know. Anyway, um, this was our entry condition, right? Now it happened so quickly, I was able to get an entry like right here. And this was the trade. We took it all the way back down to a level where buyers gained control of the market. Because sellers had control, they printed a downtrend, and then buyers broke above the high of a downtrend. So buyers took sellers out of control of the market in this area. So that's where buyers simply regained control somewhere where they already gained control previously. This is why trading isn't difficult in simple terms, because all you're looking for is, hey, what already happened? Oh, okay, it already bought at this price. I'm gonna buy it again. Oh, it already sold at this price. I'm gonna sell it again. It's like having the answers to the test, right? You just have to know the right levels to mark out. And, it's easy to look and watch someone explain it. It's hard to come to a chart and this is all you see and try to make sense of it for yourself and trade while you're desperate for money to pay for whatever you want it to pay for. You know, having emotions and all of those things, it's not gonna it's hard, right? Admittedly. Now, the zones and the areas that we mark out are specifically that I'm gonna always be teaching. These are gonna be zones, like I say, that you're going to execute trades at. This is where trades are executed. This is where trades are executed. This same zone, guess what? It got inverted and trades executed by. I'm only going to teach you where you're going to enter into trades. I'm not going to teach you to mark out anything that is not going to benefit you. Even today, even today, we marked out this high, we had it, and then look at how the high became it overlapped with the area where there's a gap in the market. And then when price went up, it could have respected it and sold, but it didn't. But instead, look at the interactions of how perfect price is. It breaks, close above my range, creates an order block right on top of that high, and then continues to close higher and push up. We could have, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes to get into, to make a decision to get into an impulse entry to the upside, having faith in the levels that we mark out, right? What time frame am I on? I'm on the 1 minute right now on NQ or NASDAQ. Um, it may not feel like it because the way I make it look easy, but 1 minute chart. So, but what was gonna say? Oh, so I'm still covering liquidity resweep. So same thing happened here today. Point is, and I really gotta zoom in. So point is, a gap was created. This is how we identify it, mark it out, right? Then I'm not calling this the first raid because this is just a continuing of the overall initial impulse. This is the first raid right here, R1. And then this right over here is R2. Do I go live every day? That is the game plan. That's what I'm going to endeavor to do. And I'm not only gonna be going live for New York session, like I'm gonna go live like just for fun, just to actually teach. Um, Instead of going live on Discord, yeah, I'm gonna be going live here on YouTube. Anyway, so this was our first raid inside the range of this gap. This was the second raid. Like I state, the first raid has to be, it becomes liquidity. Now, depending on how you wanted to look at this, some people might have thought this was it. I don't blame you. You could say this was the first overall raid. This was the second overall raid just on these overall highs. But the way I was looking at it today was that this was raid one. Therefore, this was liquidity. Wrong one. That was liquidity. So what do I say to wait for? Wait for this to get swept. Now, another thing happened though. And what was that thing? Romel, we didn't hit 50%. I know. Sometimes it happens. You get close but not close enough. When you're in a gap, the type of entries that I'm teaching you how to get right now are sniper entries. So when you start to strive for such a level of perfection, there is a such thing as being too perfect to the point to where you miss out on trades. The idea is that you know sellers are strong here, you know buyers are weak. Look at how weak these candles were compared to this big candle and this big candle. We already have rejection. We already rated the high. We got a tick or two away from the 50%. Get your fill. Place your trade. If you're in a region where we should sell, then you place your sell. You know what I'm saying? Um, so that's exactly what I did. And this is not an exaggerated trade. If you think I'm lying, then I can prove it. Let's go to Discord. Move the Discord over. In the my ideas, here I was at 5:27 this morning. I sent Friday short squeeze question mark. And so actually I don't know if you guys can see the Discord yet. No, you cannot. Now you can. All right. So I sent it at 5:27 in the morning. I say Friday short squeeze. This was the analysis. Same thing I have drawn up here. Have the gap drawn, the order block marked out in red. We went up, and I knew that this was raid one. So I was just gonna wait for that second test. That's all I was waiting for. As soon as we got that second test, I was in. I wasn't live streaming just because I'm never gonna live stream the pre-market. That's when I trade, and that's when I'm calling. That's when I'm really calling trades, and that's gonna require a subscription. But anything once opening bell hits, that's fair game. But anyway, we got the second test. I didn't have time to really react, create a whole setup, send it out. I entered, and price moved very quickly. This is a 1 minute chart. As soon as I entered, 2 minutes later, it felt like we were already breaking lows. So, said it was a good scalp. Um, Price continued to sell off. Said it was a great trade. Posted the screenshot of the execution. And then it continued to run on. I closed one contract, locked in a ban, and then waited for the rest of it to hit full TP, which it did. Right after, like right when I posted this screenshot, it went down, hit full TP. So we know what we're talking about, you know? Um, yeah. So this model specifically has been really nice to flirt with trading. Um, it's been giving me really good executions. I've been using it on these lower time frames over and over and over. I know I would have loved for price to come down to this point of origin, but once again, like I can't blame for buyers getting into an area where they know sellers were strong at, right? Look at all of the sales that took place from that area. So now we've inverted it. Price has corrected and come down and accumulated off the same exact zone where sellers were just strong. Sellers were strong here. Now buyers are kind of strong here. Guess what happened yesterday? Sellers were really strong here. Then we inverted it. Then buyers became really strong here. Once again, this is why I say trading in theory, conceptually is easy. The same thing that happened yesterday happened again today. You know? So, all in all, that was the trade I took this morning. Um, the day is still, or like the morning is still young. There's a lot of trading that can happen, but As far as I'm concerned, as far as this live stream goes, it's time for me to go to sleep. I've been up for 24 hours, but if you aren't in my Discord, do me a favor, or do yourself a favor. Take a picture of this screenshot. Or, wait, whoa. Take a screenshot of this diagram right here. Let me put R2 on it. All right. Hold on. I'm just trying to get it looking proper. All right. Stop loss goes up here. All right. I'll go ahead and let you take a screenshot of that. Let me move this up out the way. Cool. And I'll wait a minute or so. And yeah, if you want more of this, subscribe. Um, Turn on a notification bell so you get a notification when I go live. I'm gonna be here every day. And if you want to learn, follow me. I promise. If you're a beginner or intermediate trader, the content that I'm going to start posting is going to be life-changing. So without further ado, I hope everyone has a great rest of your morning. Happy Friday. Um, Make sure you do some studying this weekend to prepare for next week. If you need a psychology lesson, there are a, a lot of psychology talks on my YouTube channel. I recommend that you give those a listen. Prepare for next week. Be good to yourself and find something that makes life worth living outside of the charts this weekend. God bless and good night from me.